I made a video about accessing and replacing the air filters on this engine, and I missed out a couple of things, so I'm making this one again. First thing you need to do is lift off this piece here. Just put a little bit of pressure underneath it, pop up some of the clips. Just be careful because obviously it's plastic. Second thing, back off these two hose clamps here just with a regular flathead screwdriver. Third thing, each of these manifolds has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 torque screws on them. Take out those torque screws, be very careful not to drop anything in the engine bay. And once you're ready, you can lift up these bits of plastic here and start to wiggle them out of the rubber hose here. Again, be careful because we have not disconnected these sensors, so we don't want to pull on the cables. Okay, just got mine out here. Now just place the shroud right here and you can access the filter. Now in the previous video I showed you that I had a ton of grit in here that I needed to vacuum out. I'm actually going to do that again and clean this up properly. And the filter I kind of blew off with some air, but these are cheap filters, and what happens is with the cheap ones that are made of kind of a foam rather than a rubber is that you can get this, and that's also due to the fact that they're quite hard to seat, and I'll show you that in a minute when I put the new ones in. But before I do put the new ones in and when I do start cleaning up, I want to let you know you can also remove this snorkel really easily. It just, because it's corrugated here, it just kind of pulls out. I'm going to do that too. Take off the two snorkels, just clean around inside. If you drive a lot in the rain, there might be some dust and grit build up in there. Just take out as much grit as you can, not just from the main box, right, but from the feeder piece that goes down into the snorkel. Do also inspect the snorkel. I found that on the other side there, I actually have the plastic's gone brittle and I've got some holes underneath, so it's probably fine for the air intake, but it's not great, and I'm sure these aren't expensive, so I'll probably replace one or both of these as well. Okay, snorkel back on. It's cleaner. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. One other thing I want to point out before we put the new filters in, and that's that if you have a car maybe with lower miles, or maybe even not, you may see that you have a second set of filters on the insides of these shrouds, smaller white ones. Those are carbon filters, and you can Google a lot about those. I think people are divided about whether you need them or not. Obviously I don't have them, and I'm running fine. But the main reason that I don't have them is because they're really hard to find. I just couldn't find replacement ones, so I went without, and the car runs fine. But that's what those are. If you see them on both sides, in my opinion, they're optional, but people will argue that there's a reason that they came with them, and I'm sure that's true as well. Now the issue with just dropping the new filter in and putting the housing back on and screwing it all together is this corner. You see there's a real pinch point here. They're basically touching, right? The edge of the foam here is touching the rubber of the intake, and you've got to get the corner of the shroud to hook over there without crushing the foam and breaking it like you saw on my old filters. The only way I can think of doing this, and I'm open to suggestions, is to start with the filter back like so. Put the plastic shroud on top and then slide the filter in, being really careful to make sure that it's right, it's not pinched up in here. I'm going to do that and show you when it's in place. So I've got the cover back into the rubber hose all the way around. Be really careful. You see there's actually a little line up here marking on the housing. It's easy enough to line them up straight. It's actually more difficult to get the thing fully inserted all the way around. So just spend some time and try and get this to effectively disappear under the rubber receiver here. And now that I'm there, I'm just going to slide the filter up so that it sits in the grooves that it's designed for. Now before you finish up, just have a really good look back down into that corner. Right, and I'm seated pretty good there, and I can see that there's no orange that's crushed in the corner there. Everything looks like it's sitting really well, and that will go down just right. I recommend hand tightening the screws because we're working with plastic housing here. And that's it. When you're done, pop this piece back on.